Hi, and welcome back to Fresh BCSC Tech. In this tutorial video, and it's the last part of our visual accessibility tips for Google and G Suite, I'm going to show you how you can configure some of the settings in your browser and within your user experience to adjust the font size and style that might help some of your students or yourself making your content more accessible. So, there are a couple of options for doing this, and first I want to highlight the importance of making sure that your text size and its style can be altered, and that's because students might need different style of font and different size font to really dive in and engage with their learning. It helps some of our striving readers. It helps students who might have visual impairments that might need that. And it really helps some of our students who might have a learning disability that alters their ability to read on a traditional screen with certain font sizes and colors and styles. So the tools I'll show you can help make sure that your digital content you provide to your students is more accessible and to equip your students with the tools to make reading resources and text more accessible to them. So the tools I'll show you within your browser, and they are Chrome extensions and even just settings within your browser itself. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how you can change your Google Chrome browser settings to reflect a certain font size or style that you prefer. So you'll have to open Google Chrome, and in the top right corner below the X, there is a three-dot button. You select that and then click Settings. This is where we can configure our settings here to change our font size and style. And I'm on a Windows device when I do this. That's why it looks like this. Here in Chromebook, it's a little bit of a different pathway, and that is in a different blog post. So if I'm looking at this, over here on the left-hand side, there is Appearance. If I click Appearance, this is where I can figure a lot of different things. I can change my theme if I want to. I have mine customized, and I actually do that, so it helps me keep track of which profile I'm using my device. But right below here is where you have our font options. So I can change my font size here to a different size if I want to, where it's larger. So if you notice, that made a difference right there. Change that back, or smaller if I want. And customized fonts is where you have even more flexibility. You can configure the font size here if you would like, and set the minimum font size. So if you want that to be a little bit larger, then you can, so that no matter what, this is the smallest font size that you'll see on your screen. By default, it's already set to 0. And then over here, you can decide what certain fonts are used across your browser, so are a set standard. So whenever a website opens, or even if you're using a new G Suite tool like Google Docs or whatnot, it can kind of play with these and make those fonts there. So if I change my standard font to maybe Tahoma, if I like that one instead, then I configure that there, and it makes those changes for me. I don't have to click save or anything, and I can do the same through here and change them. So there are some fonts that are definitely more readable than others. Some of these in here that are symbols probably aren't the best ones to pick as your standard font, but again, you have the options to do that. And there is a lot of research out there that tells you which ones are more accessible. By default, Google picks ones that are rated as being more accessible, but if you want to have a little bit more control over that, you can change them. I think the most helpful thing here is the ability to change your font size if you want to have your font enlarged so it's easier to see, because sometimes it can be pretty small on the screen. Other options that you have here are a couple of Google Chrome extensions. So those are apps that you can use within Google Chrome browser. So they're only in Google Chrome, but they are amazing ones for making learning more accessible for either you as the teacher or your students. So if you really like to show your students how to use tools that they have a little bit more local control on how they can control what they see on their screen, these are two that I would show. And the first one is called OpenDyslexic. And OpenDyslexic is not a one-size-fits-all solution for students that might have dyslexia, but it is a tool that is based on research. And what it does is it works against some of those symptoms of dyslexia to provide students with a font across websites and readings that might be more accessible to them if they have dyslexia. So it won't work for all students. It might work for some, might not work for others. So it's just really important that you show this to them as an option, and then they have a little bit more feedback and control on which one they want to use. So it is an extension. So I would go to the Chrome Web Store. It's usually one of the first ones that comes up. Another comparable one is HelperBird, but the only thing with HelperBird is that there are some things in it that are not free and will continually ask you to buy the paid versions. So I typically don't use that one because of that, but I know there's some people who like it. And it is this one, OpenDyslexic font for Chrome. You would add it to your browser to use it. And I'm going to show you an example of how that works on a website. Your extensions are all across your top toolbar here. You have a lot of them like I do. They might not all be showing right here. I have my favorite ones pinned. And if it's not showing up, it's in my little puzzle piece here, which is my full menu of all of my extensions. And I can click it here. And it does take it a second to load, but I would click Enable. And then I actually have more options here. There's more than one dyslexic font. So I can select here if I want it to be bold or italicized. I have some control and I can click Save. And again, there are other resources out there than just OpenDyslexic. So if your students find another one they like to use, they are more than welcome to do that. I'm just showing you one example. And it changes all of the font on the website to match this. If I need to turn that off, I go back to the same puzzle piece, find OpenDyslexic, and I'm going to disable that so it's not still showing on my screen. I would click back and it's disabled. All right, so the last one I'm going to show you to help with adjusting font size and font style is one called Mercury Reader. And this again is another extension for Chrome. So you have to add this to the Chrome Web Store and it will show up here across the top of your Chrome banner. And to use it, what it does is Mercury Reader allows you to change the background color, your font color and size and style on a website. It works best if you're reading a news article or reading on a web page because it's designed to do that. It also is great because it gets rid of any background images as well. So you don't have any distractions from your students or ads that pop up and might clutter their screen. So to do this, I would go to my website here. And if I want to use that extension here to make it a little bit more readable for me, I'll go to my extensions menu, scroll down, and I'll find Mercury Reader. And it usually takes it a second to load, but it changes my screen here, as you can see. And now I don't have any more ads and distractions there. The font size is quite a bit bigger, and it changes my background and my foreground so that it's much easier to read, especially if maybe the background on that website was bright yellow or something different. It always defaults it here to this white background, black font. And I can just go along and read this. If you want to change the way the default settings look like in Mercury Reader, I click my settings wheel here. I can change my font size to smaller. I have it by large. I can change the font style, and I can change my theme as well. So you have a little bit more than just font size settings here. You even have some of those high contrast settings that are also great for accessibility as well. And those are some tips for improving the accessibility and font size of your browser and your documents.